Mike Schmitz, ESPN, here with Jonah Bolden. We are here in Madrid. You guys are getting ready to play Luka Doncic, Real Madrid. You've had, half a season here with Maccabi Tel Aviv after getting drafted by the Sixers. What has this season been like for you so far?
It's been good. It was kind of a little transition phase at the beginning. It was a brand new team from 1 through to 12. Everyone's I think there's one player that's returning from last year, so we were kind of off to a slow start. Everyone was trying to kind of get the chemistry, find their roles, see how they can use their skill set. But now I think we've all kind of got a feel for each other. I've definitely found my niche within the team. And I mean, I can see it within myself, just my progression from the beginning, comfortability, and just knowing my role and going out there and doing it.
How did it all come together with, you ending up here and, the stash year and Maccabi in particular?
Well, that was kind of once I got drafted by the Sixers, the whole front office, Bryan, particularly threw that out there that's a high possibility. For me, obviously, I wanted to be in the NBA. I believe I was supposed to be in the NBA, but at the time, I wasn't too worried about it. I knew I was going to go there and get the opportunity for summer league. I was thankful to be drafted by them. But I'm here now. They threw that out to me when I was drafted. Like a day after, I went to Philly. We went through a little training camp. Went to Utah summer league, then Vegas summer league, and then that's when Maccabi kind of came into the picture. Nicola and Coach Bahia were in Vegas for the summer league, and I sat down and spoke with them. And Coach Brown actually spoke to me about them reaching out to him about me coming there, and we kind of just went from there.
What are the biggest things that Bryan Colangelo and Brett Brown and have kind of like preached to you of what they want you to accomplish in terms of your development this year?
Just progression in nearly every aspect of my game. Definitely physical aspect. That's kind of been a thing for me. I definitely have gotten stronger and bigger. I think I've gotten to like 6'10.5" now. But yeah, they just said just keep doing what I'm doing. They loved what they saw in me in summer league. Bryan, he came out here a couple weeks ago. I think maybe a month ago now. And spoke with the trainer, the strength and conditioning coach over here, and just kind of told him what he wants for the next 6 months, and what to do with me, specifics and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I wonder because obviously from Maccabi's perspective, like you're kind of in a different situation than all the guys they have, and they have to manage, trying to win games, but also, what the Sixers want from you development-wise. Like, do they put together a specific plan for you? Is there anything in writing, or you know what I mean?
No, not really in writing. That was kind of the first time actually the Sixers or Bryan in particular had said anything about or like trying to coordinate with my development for the future and same with the Maccabi. So it hasn't really been a focus on all right, everyone else is in a different situation to Jonah. So we've kind of collaborated everything together and worked on it. But yeah, I mean it is what it is. So.
How would you describe kind of how you've played so far and like what your role has been within the team and maybe how that will carry over to the NBA?
I think I've found my role in this team to be somewhat of a defensive anchor. You could call it. I think I'm top 5 in steals in EuroLeague right now, and that kind of has translated over to the team, and they've noticed that, and then they've kind of relied on me for that. I've kind of spoken to the coaches, Coach Fanning, Tim in particular, Coach Goodis have told me about, we want you to have a huge role and huge impact defensively. Your offense will come, I shoot the three, I'll crash offensive rebounds and make the right pass. But other than that, I've found my role and my teammates have seen that, and then they'll find me and they know they can count on me.
It seems like defensively is where you'll be able to make an impact even at the NBA level with, Ben and Joel and all these guys. I mean, how do you see yourself fitting in with that group, and what is it like for you to be, in Israel, but kind of watching them, have all the excitement around them?
It's exciting. I spoke with Bryan about it a little bit, and he mentioned the stat that I think they're the team that runs the most mileage per game. and that definitely helps me. You know, translate perfectly with me because I like to get the rebound, push it, get the rebound pass, and run the lane or run down the middle. And I'm just long, athletic, quick, so that definitely helps. But yeah, like you said, defensively, you know, I'm one to buy in defensively, and I know the offense will come. I know that's not my go-tos. You know, give the ball to Jonah and everyone spread out. So I know that I can give it to someone else and know that I can do other stuff. So.
The thing that's impressed me the most about watching your film from this year is just your passing ability. I know, like, you know, I think that's something you always had to some degree, but it seems like things have really slowed down for you in kind of more comfortability there. What has your evolution been like just as a passer?
Yeah, like you said, it's always been there. I think another thing you said is how the game slowed down for me. That was kind of always the kind of what was stopping me from making the right pass or indecisiveness was just the speed of the game. Over here in Europe is definitely much slower than the NBA. And that was kind of where I'm at now compared to where I was in the beginning. It was a lot faster, but now it's definitely slowed down. And like I said, my teammates have got a feel for me. So when I get the ball, they know where to be at the right times. You know, if I pick and I'm short rolling, they know to be in the corners. They know that I see them. So
It's funny, like looking back at when we were maybe evaluating you at UCLA, the word was tweener then, right? Like, okay, is he a 3, is he a 4? And now that's kind of what teams want, is versatile guys who can do a little bit of everything. And it's almost like you can play some 5 even now in today's NBA. Do you think that the game has kind of trended toward the way that you play?
yeah, no doubt. Like you said, the 3 and the 4 was kind of up in the air in my college days. But I mean, that's kind of a positive thing now. Being able to play the 3 and the 4, it's kind of not really a negative whether you're an in-betweener. It's more so that you're able to do both. You said the 5, you know, that's not really my strong point. But if I'm put in as the center, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing and take it up a notch, for sure.
When did you, how long have you known Brett Brown?
Me personally, I've known Brett for a minute. He was back in the Australia days. My dad and Ben's dad also knew him from back when he was coaching down there. But recently, I've gotten obviously back in contact with him from the draft, being drafted by them. But you know, we definitely have history.
Yeah, and then I know you played a little with Ben back in the day also. What is the history there with you guys?
Yeah, like I said, both our dads played in Australia. I was born in Melbourne, where Ben was born, but I moved to Sydney when I was really young. So the only time really played together was when it was like state championships or high school. We came back together, but I've been known Ben since forever. And then when he went over to the States to high school, a couple months later or half a year later, I went over to the States and we kind of reconnected then, and then we've just gone from there.
Yeah, that Adidas Nations team was what you. It was you, Ben, Exum.
Dante was on the team. A couple other guys, Jared Martin. A couple other guys. A couple of them still in college now. A couple of them back in. Keanu, I think Keanu Pinder. He's at Arizona. Yeah, I think he was on that team too.
It's just crazy how it's all kind of.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So how would you describe? You know, I know your situation at FMP was, you know, you played well, and it's just a different deal than Maccabi Tel Aviv, EuroLeague team. How would you kind of compare the two?
I think it's night and day to me personally. I'm definitely grateful for FMP and what it gave me the opportunity to do. You know, definitely got me to where I am today. But it's also, you know, night and day. The professionalism. The FMP is with Red Stars, so they're not the EuroLeague powerhouse. The Red Stars are a powerhouse, but you know, we're in our own gym. We're not sharing a gym. Just professionalism is just two different levels for sure.
Yeah. What is the basketball scene like in Tel Aviv? Are you known within the town? Is it like what is that like for you every day?
Yeah, no, I know that. I think Maccabi fans are, if not the best, one of the best in Europe. Like you said, known around town. Anywhere you go, you ask for signatures or pictures. You know, everyone knows Maccabi Tel Aviv. Everywhere in Israel, pretty much.
Shooting the ball has kind of been, you know, point of emphasis for you just throughout your career in terms of consistency. Like, where are you at with that now, and what are maybe some of the things that you're trying to work on with that?
Yeah, consistency I think is definitely a thing I need to work on. I'm always gonna shoot the ball. You know, it's not an issue with me. And like I said, teammates are getting a feel for that, so they're always telling me to keep shooting. Coaches always telling me to keep shooting, whether it goes in, whether it doesn't. But I think just repetitions. Getting shots after, shooting before, just keep shooting. The more you see it go through the net, the more you're gonna want to shoot. So I think that's definitely the key.
And then maybe some other areas that you still think you maybe need to shore up, or things you're working to get better at.
Off the dribble, knowing when to catch, shoot, knowing when to catch, seeing my defender close out and taking them off the dribble. Defensively, I always just want to get better. Decision making, whether to be on help, whether to not be on help. I know in the NBA there isn't as much emphasis on help as there is here, which is also helping me. I think over here also the games. There's a high importance on every EuroLeague game over here. Not as much as the NBA because you got a lot more games, and when one is more important than the other. Not saying that they're not trying to win every game, but it's just totally different. So it's definitely helping me prepare.
Yeah. You mentioned you're up to 6'10" and a half now. It seems like you really were a late bloomer in terms of your growth. Was that always the case? Were you kind of always on this late trajectory, or?
Yeah, I think so. I wasn't really highly recruited out of high school. I think I was mid major. And then kind of my first year I didn't play. Second year I didn't play as good, and then you want to call it my third year where I went professionally is when I really bloomed. And then so I think I'm definitely a late bloomer. That comes with just I think comes from myself. Just going through things, being put in certain positions. I like to overcome obstacles and stuff like that. So no.
And there are a lot of guys now who, the one and done rule is kind of being talked about, and it seems to me that there's kind of a thought within the States that, like, hey, we can just go out of high school and go play in Europe. Like, I think, people think that they could maybe just come and play for Maccabi Tel Aviv as an 18-year-old, as someone who kind of went on that path. That you went to UCLA first, but, how difficult is it at this level and to play against grown men?
No, it is hard. I think with me, my whole thing was with leaving. It was just I knew that was going to be my last opportunity. So my whole mindset changed. I wasn't coming out of high school and I was like, all right, let me just go give it a shot. If it doesn't work, I'm going to come. I knew that was either I was going to go there and then make my dream reality, go to the NBA, or I was just going to I was going to stay there pretty much. I was just going to stay over in Europe. So I think the whole thing is if you are going to make that decision, just know that it isn't easy. It isn't an easy 12 months. A lot of people come over, a lot of Americans come over and then they leave after a month and a half after they realize what it really is. And I was coming from Los Angeles, UCLA, so it was definitely a shock to the system.
What is it like to watch Ben have the success he's had, and what was he like at a younger age in comparison now?
Oh, I'm happy for him. I didn't expect anything less, to be honest with you. He's always been the alpha dog at LSU, and then even in high school at Montverde. But yeah, no, it's definitely exciting for him. I think shooting back to when he was at Keylor, I don't know, you probably don't know, back in Australia, but even back then he was just the alpha dog, and I me and him were always really good friends, and I definitely had high expectations for him, just as he has for himself. So everyone's seeing it now.
And obviously you're playing Luka Doncic tonight. I know you played them earlier this year. I'm sure you'll have some possessions switched onto him. And from watching film on him, kind of what are some of the things you take away from just an evaluation standpoint?
Like defending him, or he's a great player. No doubt about it. He's also very young, so he's also experienced for his age. But I think it's a good challenge for me personally. I think I'm 3 years older than him, but we're still both in kind of that young category. So for me, there's always I like the challenges of high prospects or guys that are highly up there, and just being able to switch on them. I asked if I was able to switch on to him. I think we did it last game a couple of times where I was on to him, and then for me it's just like a challenge that I like to take in mentally, personally, for myself. But no, he's a great player, no doubt about it.
So what's the plan for you, this next year, and what are you hoping to kind of bring to, a Philly team that's obviously already, showing some really good signs of life? I
think just coming in and like I said, defensively, buying defensively. Each team I've been on, the coaches give me a different role. They've utilized my skill sets differently, and that takes time with anything just to find that. But I'm always have that defensive mindset. Like I said, the offense will come. My teammates, once they start to get a feel of me, they'll find me offensively. But defensively, I like to come off the bench or even start and bring the team up. Once they start seeing my energy, they'll feed off that and then buy into it equally. So.
Yeah, I mean, with you, with Ben, and with Joel, you have a lot of guys who can really pass the ball. How do you think that's going to look?
I mean, you see it now, and that's without me. So I think bringing me in would definitely help that, stretch the floor. Definitely be a lot more space. Guys will be comfortable knowing that they don't need the ball because they'll get the ball, and it'll definitely just help the team camaraderie and chemistry.
And I know you also have, Andrzej Pasechniks, who's playing in Gran Canaria, Matthias Lasor, who's in Red Star. Are you in contact with those guys at all?
Not really, not frequently. When I went out to Serbia, I spoke a little bit to Matthias. We played a preseason tournament in Greece. I can't remember, Crete tournament, and they were there too. We spoke a little bit then. Pasechniks I haven't really spoken to, but yeah, no, if I see him, I'm gonna definitely say. Yeah. So.
And what was the whole pre-draft process like for you? Just I know you had a lot of different moving parts with it in terms of, okay, who's going to have me stash, who's not going to have me stash for how many years. Just what was the whole process like?
I mean, yeah, I was in New York with my agent Dan, my mom, dad, sister, and auntie. But yeah, we were in the back. They were getting phone calls. My whole thing was I didn't want to get stashed. I knew that me coming out of college, I kind of stashed myself, if you want to call it, for a year. So I thought I was ready to play. But if I think that at the end of the day, I said if needed be 1 year would be the maximum I would do. There were some teams that said, we can't promise you 1 year, you might need 2. So I said, all the best to you guys, but I'm not really down to do more than 1 more year in Europe. And then so when Philadelphia rang up and threw that out there, it was kind of iffy, but Ben was there, Coach Brown, the way they play, the young team, they're on the rise. So for me, it was kind of a no-brainer. And then I just knew from there, I just had to start getting to work. I tried to take away that mystery label that was on me coming from Serbia and UCLA. I didn't really do too much, so I had to kind of prove myself a little bit in summer league before I had to come back over here. So I think I did what I needed to do and made the most of it.
Yeah, definitely. I guess lastly, obviously you mentioned kind of your path and maybe not the most traditional route, but what's maybe some of the biggest things you learned about, whether it's yourself or just kind of, through the last 4 or 5 years?
Decisions, making the right decisions, trusting yourself. A lot of people, when I made that decision to leave UCLA, a lot of people didn't or were confused as to why. With Lonzo coming in, that was one of the big things. You got Lonzo and TJ Leaf coming in. They asked, why didn't you leave after your redshirt? Why you want to leave now? Even some of my family members were asking, or not asking, but just kind of saying, give it one more year. Let's do this. But I think I had the utmost belief and confidence in myself and trusted myself and knew that once I made the decision, that was it. There's no, all right, let me go back to UCLA. I knew that once I dove into the deep end, I had to make my way back up to the top and make the most of it. So I think once you do what you feel is right, you just got to go for it.
Sure. Well, thanks so much and good luck to you, man.
Thank you.